we are in study 23 of Galatians. Today I want to finish chapter 5 with verse 24 to 26. And before we do that, we'll answer the questions from verse 19 to 23. So we have two questions. What does the Spirit produce? What does the flesh produce? So question one, the flesh. Our flesh can only produce sin. When humanity fell into rebellion, our desires, which God created us to have, were corrupted or they were twisted. They began to rule us and control us instead of us ruling and controlling them. Now, please be careful. Don't just look at these verses and read through this list and use it to judge others. There's certain sins that you might see that you haven't done in this section, but there will be ones that you have and sins that do get you. So please read those ones as well as just the ones for others. Let's be careful not to do that. But this is all that your flesh can do. Rebel against God. Those who live habitually in this way, in other words, those who are not saved, are condemned. The flesh rebels and the flesh brings us to condemnation. That's all it can do. And this is why we needed Christ to come and die for us and rise again and rescue us from the flesh. Question two then, the Spirit produces Christlikeness in us. Only by the Spirit in us can we live the life that Christ lived, with love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. If we did not have the Spirit in us, we could not live this way. Now that we have the Spirit in us, we can. And now that we have the Spirit in us, we don't need the outside law telling us what to do. Some verses I'd really encourage you to go and read just to continue to understand this theme is John 15, verse 1 to 5. Back to Philippians again, Philippians 1 verse 6 and verse 9 to 10, and chapter 2 verse 12 to 13, and Colossians 1 verse 9 to 11. So now we're at the end of chapter 5 verse 24 to 26, and just before we have the questions, just to make a little point again, we've already kind of made it, but just to make it clearer again, there's two types of righteousness that we're looking at here: positional righteousness and practical righteousness. Positional righteousness means to be declared righteous, okay? So that's our justification, our past salvation. Jesus Christ died for us, rose again for us, and we've put our faith in him, and we've been declared righteous through that. Then there's our practical righteousness, and that is us living out the righteous life. The other word for it is our sanctification, and it's our present salvation, where Christ is working on us, delivering us from ourselves, and helping us to be more like him. Now, Galatians chapter 1 verse 4 and chapter 2 verse 20 are talking about both of these, our positional righteousness and our practical righteousness. So two questions. Question one, what has happened to our flesh in 5 verse 24? I also encourage you to go read Romans chapter 6 verse 1 to 14. And question two, we are positionally righteous in Christ. We live by the Spirit. How can we be practically righteous in chapter 5 verse 25 to 26? Also go and read Ephesians 4 verse 1 to 2 and chapter 5 verse 18 to 21 of Ephesians as well. Now I know there's a bunch of reading in this one. I know we're going slowly through these verses. I know that some of the answers you're getting are the same as the answers previously, but it's just so important that we grasp what Paul is trying to give us here at the end of Galatians 5. Again, we have understood that righteousness, that being declared righteous is by faith, that we are saved by faith, but we have forgotten how sanctification works. And so it's so important that we grasp this here at the end of Galatians 5. God bless.